Hey everybody, good morning, or hope you're having a great day depending on whenever you're listening to this. So this is going to be our second episode of our second season of our Fitness with Feldman podcast. And as you might remember from last week, we're going to bring these things to all sorts of different platforms. So you might be seeing this through the Facebook live feed. You might be seeing it through the Instagram TV or YouTube. So wherever you're finding it, thanks so much for tuning in. And if you remember from last time, what we're really going to be trying to focus on is give everybody some different ideas of things that they can take control over on their own to deal with their own health, wellness, and all that stuff. And so we talked a lot about last time sort of the different issues going on within the healthcare system and how the bigger burden is going to start to be placed onto you guys and myself and everybody else as sort of individuals to take control of their own health and wellness. And so what we're going to really try and do is give you some tools and things that you can do. So over the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about some different habits that you can have and things that you can do to sort of improve stuff on your own. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to start this week by talking a little bit about sleep. And so this is something that we talk a lot about with people in the clinic. You know, how much sleep are you getting? What's going on? And I thought it would be a good, easy habit for everyone to try and tackle here. So we'll kind of try and challenge everybody this week to go through some stuff and improve their own sleep habits. So we start to look at your sleep. Really, that's the only time during the day that your body gets to heal and recover and sort of make up for whatever you put it through during the day. And so what we really want to try and get everybody doing is improving sort of their sleep hygiene, their sleep habits, and what they're doing. Not enough sleep is associated with a whole bunch of different problems. It starts to affect your hormone production. It will start to kind of put your body into a stress state, and none of that is good. I think everybody's sort of been there where they've had a really, really good night's sleep. You wake up in the morning and kind of feel like you can take on the day. And then I think also everybody's been in that spot where you have a not so great night's sleep and you wake up in the morning and it doesn't really matter what it is, whether the coffee maker's not working, whether there's traffic, doesn't matter. Everything kind of annoys you, bothers you, and becomes a problem. And so that's just sort of the whole setup in like a little microcosm there. So not getting enough sleep, and so the number that pretty much gets quoted here and is pretty well studied is about 8 hours a night. People will think that they can get by on less than 8 hours. They feel, I don't need that much sleep. Really, pretty much everybody needs at least 8 hours of sleep. And if you're active, if you're training for something, doing something else, you probably need more than 8 hours of sleep. And so really, if you can get into a larger state where you're getting more than 8 hours of sleep, then, that's even better there. Lack of getting those 8 hours of sleep, though, is correlated with weight gain, type 2 diabetes, stroke, high blood pressure, and so all things we don't really want. And sleep is a really, really easy way, something you can do on your own to combat all of that. When we start to look at other stuff that goes on if you're not getting enough sleep, one of the things we talk a lot about is the level of cortisol in your body, which is kind of commonly referred to as your stress hormone, the hormone that gets really, really produced and elevated when you're stressed. And so basically, when you're not getting enough sleep, your body goes into this stress state, starts to produce more of this cortisol. And as it does that, your body's sort of like getting ready to, almost be like chased by a tiger. And so it thinks all these things are going on, and you really want to work hard to, it wants to try and work super hard to protect you and help you, but therefore you're not resting and recovering like you should be. The other thing it does is it starts to divert a lot of resources towards protecting you and being stressed, and so therefore you get a really, really weak immune system. And so not getting enough sleep is also way more associated with chronic disease, as well as just more sort of acute or short-term diseases like just the common cold or flu or something like that. So, towards the winter or anytime, people start to see, now there's all these like summer viruses and colds sort of going around. And so one of the easy ways to sort of combat that, obviously the, traditional like wash your hands and all that stuff, but make sure you're getting those 8 hours of sleep. It makes a really, really big difference. So next up, sort of what can you do, right? So we've convinced you not getting enough sleep is really, really not great. What can you do to improve things and make sure that you're getting enough sleep? So the first thing is get yourself on a schedule. Try and go to bed at the same time every night and try and wake up at the same time every morning. It's difficult, right? It's not easy to always be waking up and going to bed at the same time, and there's kind of that idea of like, oh, it's Saturday, I want to sleep in, I want to do this, but really getting yourself on that schedule makes a huge difference. And if you stay on that schedule through the weekend, you're not staying up super late on Friday and Saturday night, it makes Monday morning way easier. Next thing is try and remove any distractions. So as you're starting to wind down, get ready to go to bed, let's say your time is 10 o'clock, sometime around 9 o'clock, you want to kind of put the phone away, get rid of whatever you're doing, relax, maybe read a book, something like that. But try and avoid things that might stress you out. So sort of that like last minute email before you go to sleep, or that last check of Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be. Avoid that stuff. That's going to make it so that when you lay down in bed, right, your body's still in this stressed out state. It's not going to do a great job of coming back down and sort of getting ready to go to sleep. Basically, before you went to sleep, you were giving your body the signal that there was more things you needed to do, more stuff that had to get done. And so your body maybe was kind of starting to prepare for sleep, and then your brain sort of gave it another signal, and it said, all right, we don't need to do that right now. And so you want to try and avoid that, okay? The next thing is try and decrease your caffeine intake, especially later on in the day. So it's super easy to, maybe after lunch, you start to digest lunch, you get a little bit, down, you start to get a little fatigued. And so it's pretty easy to say like, oh, well, I'll have a cup of coffee here. But then all of a sudden that keeps you up later at night, that night, then you're not as well awake. Then the next day you start to need another cup of coffee, and you end up in this really vicious cycle. And so try and pay attention to that. After lunch, you're feeling that sort of like down, maybe try and have a piece of like dark chocolate, or try and just have some water. A lot of times really you're just dehydrated by that point in the day, and your body's just feeling the effects of that. And so replace that coffee with water, and just start to pay attention, see how you feel there. The last thing I want to talk about a little bit is kind of plan for the unexpected. So it's easy to say, all right, I'm going to go to bed every night at 9 o'clock, and I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock, or however you're going to do it. Well, plan for what happens if you can't get to bed at 9 o'clock, and how you're going to work around it. Or if something comes up late in the day or late at night, what are you going to do? Are you going to take care of it and let that, sleep suffer? Or are you going to say, no, you know what? It's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm going to move this on, and we're going to, I'll deal with that tomorrow. I think a lot of times, stuff happens late in the day, that last minute email, that Facebook message, text message, whatever it is. And all of a sudden you get into something where you're just, really involved with something right before you go to bed. And nothing would change if you dealt with that in the morning. And sometimes maybe even it would be easier. You might make a better decision if you got a little bit of sleep and sort of thought about it for a little while. So that's all we have for you for this morning. We try and keep these nice and short, stay around that, 10-minute mark. Thank you everybody who tuned in live. I'm not really sure. Usually I can see who it is, but I can't really see who's here now. I'm not sure. I think there's a weird glare on the phone. Trying to do this one in the morning, so the sun's coming from a different direction, and it's a little harder to see. But next week we're going to come back with some more habits and different things that we can get everybody working on. So everyone's challenge this week is to create your own pattern for your sleep. So work on it, and really, really try and stick to creating that pattern for what you want to be doing. And have a great week, and we'll talk to everyone next week. Enjoy.